Have you ever wondered why the Soviet Union, a superpower in its own right, invaded a relatively small, mountainous country like Afghanistan? Welcome to the intricate and tumultuous tale of the Soviet-Afghan War. In the late 70s, specifically 1978, Afghanistan saw a coup that established a communist government with strong ties to the Soviet Union. But this new regime was not welcomed by everyone. Opposition sprouted from various corners, including tribal and religious factions. By December 24, 1979, the Soviet Union, fearing the spread of Islamic fundamentalism and the potential loss of a friendly government, stepped in. They invaded Afghanistan, aiming to bolster the Afghan communist government, then led by Babrak Karmal. The Soviet Union, the primary foreign actor, offered military and economic assistance to the Afghan government. Their military involvement was substantial, involving tens of thousands of troops. Meanwhile, the Afghan government, first under Nur Muhammad Taraki and later Babrak Karmal, leaned heavily on this support. But the Soviets and the Afghan government were not the only players in this game. The resistance fighters against the Soviet-backed government, known as the Mujahideen, were an amalgamation of various factions with different ideologies. The term Mujahideen refers to those engaged in a holy war or jihad. In the backdrop of the Cold War, the United States, along with other Western and Arab countries, saw an opportunity. They supported the Afghan Mujahideen with weapons, training and financial aid, hoping to counter Soviet influence. The Soviet Union initially faced limited resistance, but as the Mujahideen began receiving support from external actors, the conflict escalated. The war morphed into a proxy conflict between the Soviet Union and the United States, with each side backing opposing factions. A significant turning point arrived when the US introduced Stinger surface-to-air missiles. These missiles gave the Mujahideen the means to effectively counter Soviet air power. However, mounting international pressure, economic strain, and increasing casualties eventually led the Soviet Union to begin withdrawing its troops in 1988. By 1989, the withdrawal was complete. But the end of the Soviet-Afghan War did not bring peace to Afghanistan. The withdrawal of Soviet forces created a power vacuum, resulting in a brutal civil war among various Afghan factions. Out of the chaos, the Taliban, a fundamentalist group, emerged and eventually took control of Afghanistan in the mid-90s. The presence of foreign fighters, including Osama bin Laden and his Al-Qaeda network, further exacerbated the instability. The war also left a significant imprint on the Soviet Union. It impacted its military, economy and international standing, and many consider it a contributing factor to the eventual collapse of the Soviet Union in 1991. In conclusion, the Soviet-Afghan War was not just a conflict between two countries. It was a complex geopolitical chess game with far-reaching consequences. It remains a critical chapter in Cold War history, with enduring repercussions for Afghanistan and the broader geopolitical landscape. A war that lasted a decade, it continues to cast a long shadow over the world.